Judges chapter 18. In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of Dan sought for itself an inheritance to inhabit, because no inheritance had befallen it until that day in the midst of the tribes of Israel. So the sons of Dan sent 5 men of their family from their territory, sons of valor from Zorah and Eshtaol, to spy upon the land and to search it out. They said to them, "Go, search the land." And they went as far as Mount Ephraim to the house of Micah, and there they lodged. While at the house of Micah they recognized the voice of the young Levite. They turned toward him and said to him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What do you have here?" He said to them, "This is what Micah did for me. He hired me, and I became his priest." So they said to him, "Ask now of God, so we may know if we will be successful on our journey that we go on." And the priest said to them, "Go in peace. The way in which you go is before the Lord." So the 5 men departed and came to Laish. Here they saw the people in the midst of it dwelling securely, as the affairs of the Sidonians were quiet. Here no one was perverting or shaming people or events in the land. There were no heirs extorting treasures, and the land was far from the Sidonians, with no ties of mutuality between them. And the 5 men came back to their brethren at Zorah and Eshtaol, and said to their brethren, "Why do you sit, preparing for nothing?" And they said, "Arise, let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and indeed it is very good, yet you are unmotivated. Do not delay. Go and enter the land to possess it. When you go, you will meet a people at peace, and the land is extensive, for God has given it into your hands, a place where there is nothing lacking in the land." And 600 men of the family of Dan, armed with weapons of war, departed from Zorah and Eshtaol. They went up and encamped in Kirjath-jearim in Judah. Therefore they call that place the camp of Dan to this day. There it is, behind Kirjath-jearim. And they passed from there to Mount Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. Then the 5 men who had spied upon the country of Laish spoke and said to their brethren, "Do you know that in this house there is an ephod, idols, and a carved and molten image? Therefore consider what you should do." So they turned aside there, and went in to where the young Levite man stayed, into the house of Micah. In peace they asked how he was. The 600 men, armed with their weapons of war, who were of the sons of Dan, remained standing by the door of the gate. Then the 5 men who had spied upon the land went up, and they entered the house of Micah. The priest stood up as they took the carved image, the ephod, the idols, and the molded image, and said to them, "The priest asks, 'What are you doing?' And they said to him, 'Be silent, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us, and be a father and a priest to us. Is it better for you to be a priest to the household of one man, or to be a priest to a tribe and a house for a family of Israel?' The heart of the priest was glad, and he took the ephod, the idols, and the carved and molten image, and came into the midst of the people. Then they turned and departed, putting the children, the livestock, and the baggage in front of them. When they had traveled far from the house of Micah, behold, Micah and the men in the houses near the house of Micah cried out, and overtook the sons of Dan. And the sons of Dan turned their face and said to Micah, "What is the matter with you that you cry out?" Micah responded, "Because you took away the carved image which I made, and my priest, and left. What remains for me? How is it you can say to me, 'Why do you cry out?'" And the sons of Dan said to him, "Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest men bitter in soul fall upon us and take away your life and the lives of your household." Then the sons of Dan went their way, and when Micah saw they were far stronger than himself, he turned back toward his house. So the sons of Dan took what Micah had made, and the priest who was with him, and they came to Laish, to a people quiet and secure, and they struck them with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. There was no deliverer, for the city was far from the Sidonians, and no agreements of mutuality. It is in the valley of the house of Rahab, and they restored the city and dwelt in it. And they called the city Dan, after Dan, their father, who was born to Israel. Formerly the city was named Laish. Then the sons of Dan set up for themselves the carved image, and Jonathan the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of exile for the nation. So they set up for themselves, for as long as the house of God was in Shiloh, the carved image Micah made.